Welcome to the JAMODI podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. You mentioned freedom a little bit ago, and I think we play a running and gunning style here where we really value shooting threes and playing fast basketball. The biggest thing I've learned is just how much I have to give up control in those moments for that to happen.
Right.
But you talk about freedom, and what are some ideas behind freedom and how you get your guys playing that way?
Right. So again, it comes down to what Gary Smith taught me. So Gary, I said when I decided to go with the system, I said, "Can I fly you in?" And he said, "Why are you going to fly me in?" I said, "Because I got to know how hard we got to play on defense and pressing." And he said, "That's a good answer. Yes, you can fly me in. I'll spend a week with you." He was retired, and so he came in. We had a great time. We went fishing, and he helped at practice. But he basically said, "George, if you're going to ask these kids to take a risk and shoot a gap and try to get a steal, then you got to praise them for that, even if they don't make the steal and they get a layup behind them. Like you can't give them a double message." Even Paul Westhead said, I went out and spent time with him
Oh, wow.
on the West Coast, yeah, about a year and a half ago, right before the pandemic hit, so maybe a
Yeah.
year. And Paul said, Coach Westhead said, he had Hank Gathers, and he was
Oh,
face,
Kimball. Yeah.
yeah, and Bo Kimball, those guys, and he was having the kids face guard everybody all over the court.
Mm.
And when an assistant came to him and said, "Coach, if we could just get him to come off of his man and play a little help side, we, we could stop that layup from happening." So he said, "Okay," and he told Hank, he said, "Come off your man. I know I have you face guard. Come off your man, but I want you to play help side and see if you can stop this layup." And Hank did it, and of course the guy kicks out and he hits a 2 or 3, whatever at that point. And he said, I got frustrated and I called him over and he said, "Coach, I can do one thing. So I can either face guard like you're asking me to do and go for steals, not let him catch the ball if the ball is thrown to him, get a steal, or I can play help side. But I can't do both. I cannot do both. It's the philosophy is either a risk-taking philosophy where we're going for steals, or a conservative philosophy where we're not allowing baskets." And he said, "You're absolutely right. I can't get you to do both. That's unfair for me to ask you to do that." And so the idea of playing with freedom and the idea of letting a kid make a decision has to be supported by praising him for making that decision.
Mm.
And even if he gets burned, if you're going to play fast and you're going to press and you're going to take risk and you're going to value steals. Patino used to always value deflections, so he was sort of maybe a little bit middle ground there.
Yeah.
If you get like 35 deflections in a game, you're going to win. We say if you turn them over 3 out of 10 possessions, we're going to win. So that means 5 of the other 7 or 6 of the other 7, they may even score layups, but we're going to keep praising them if they try to make the steal, if they go for the risk. And if we don't do that, then it's double. We're teaching them to be double-minded, and they won't play with freedom. They'll play tight.
Yeah.
Play tight. Same thing with shot selection.
I'm so glad you said that, because it seems the same way. Every coach falls into that habit of, this is what I say I want, but when it doesn't happen, I'm upset for you trying to do what I say I want, and
Right.
it just tightens people up. And
Exactly.
Go into shot selection.
Okay, so shot selection. So it's shot selection is easy for us in this sense. I'll say, if the point guard throws you the ball from the back court to the front court, we want you to shoot it. Okay, so we think you're open enough to shoot it, and we're going to come with the other 4 guys, and as soon as the point guard can get there, to try to get your offensive rebound. But we want you. So we don't want to tell anybody you can't shoot. So everybody can shoot. But so the question is, well, then, like the 20% 3-point shooter can shoot, has the freedom to shoot just as much as the 40% 3-point shooter? The answer is yes, he does. Okay. But we chart, and obviously during games, you have stats. Who is the better 3-point shooter? So if you're on the court with a 40% 3-point shooter, and an extra pass would get him the shot, then you would be deemed selfish not to do that.
Right.
So that smokes you out. That smokes you out. So we're going to give you the freedom. We're not going to say that's a bad shot. We're not going to call you out in front of the team. I might turn to the assistant and say, he's pressing. When I say he's trying a little bit to make himself a better shooter. I'm not going to scold him. We may have to wait till tomorrow's practice to remind everybody, okay, in this shift on the floor, here's your 40% shooter. Here's your 35% shooter. Here's your 30% shooter. Here's your, 25 and 20. And so, we might reinforce that. And so we're not necessarily going to scold the 20% shooter, but he's got to know I'm there to rebound. I'm there to make force turnovers. I'm there to be disruptive defensively. I'm there to maybe get the ball to the 45% shooter. But if I'm open and nobody's guarding me and we're playing, then, I know I have the freedom to shoot. So I don't need to be uptight about it.
Right.
And that is a really critical point of playing in the system, is praising even failures if they try, and risk taking, and not scolding people who take shots, but being patient and trying to turn their heart to understand you want this guy shooting until you can get your shooting percentage up. And you can get it up because we're going to shoot 200 threes in practice. And if you want to take the whole summer and work on your shot, it's going to go up. I mean,
right. There's way more incentive to work on your game.
We've had guys go from 20 to 40% over the course of their career, even over the course of a year or two. So it can improve, but until it improves, we still might put on the board your ranking among the team and then say, have at it, guys, have freedom. But, you got to know where you rank, and you kind of do it with a smile on your face, but you find a way to let that be known, but without scolding them or embarrassing them in front of the team.
But the key to that is tracking, because in practice, there's so many great shooting games. I'm going to ask you what your favorite one is in a little bit, but so many great shooting games. One we do is green, yellow, red shooting. And there's 9 spots, 4 minutes. So it's either shoot 90 or the 4-minute runs out. And I've got to the point where if they don't get to 90, I don't care what their make is, because they have to start with a level of speed, and then over that time, and then thinking the right way, the makes will come. But with that, and what we do is in front of everybody, we just go around. And when these guys start to hear, okay, I'm a 30, I'm a 35, which would be in that kind of yellow range, all quite a bit. This dude's at 60 every time. Right. All that is role identification daily, to where I'm kind of open, but like you just said, the one more is to a green light shooter. And then instead of celebrating the green light shooter, you celebrate the one more, the giving up of themselves. But coaches will hit their head against the wall all the time. Why aren't we shooting better shots? Or what about shot selection? But they don't have the daily conversations. I think that's huge.
Yeah, charting is exactly the key. And oh boy, when you say, okay, we're putting our groups together of 3, and we're going to put a high, and a middle, and then a low percentage shooter together. The low percentage shooter, they always get their back up a little bit. They're like, but they know they're in that group and they're the low percentage shooter. And, so at that point, the coaches just say, hey, deal with it. I mean, it's stats. We chart you all the time, and you can get a little huffy about it, but that's where you're at.
But with your system, it's really whatever shooting role they have, it's completely up to them, because one, they're told that they are allowed to shoot, but then
Right.
all they have to do is put in the time necessary. I get to talk with coaches from time to time about shooting because we shoot a ton of threes here.
Right.
But the one thing I say is, if you really want that engagement from all of your players, well, are you playing a style where they know that if they're open, they'll have a chance? Because if not, if your guy is just a screener, why in the world would he spend more time shooting if he doesn't believe he can break out of that mold? And that's where your style of play is, it's freeing.
It is free, and we encourage them to shoot more, and our bigs get a ton better shooting over the course of their career here because they're allowed to. We want them to, and we have some guys that are very unselfish, and they know clearly I'm not that good of a 3-point shooter, but I am a great offensive rebounder. So I am going to really pad my numbers and help the team, with my offensive rebounding. Yeah. And so they, it's like, it's not that they wouldn't dare shoot, but they just want to let somebody else because it's just a better, it's a better deal. Yeah. Another weed that we have that I call it picking weeds. So you want to keep your garden, clear of weeds. And so obviously if you let the weeds come up all over the place, you're overwhelmed, you can't do it. But a big weed that I don't want to grow in my garden is because we play players in short shifts. All right, so they have to come in and out real quickly. So when, I have to catch it early, but they'll say, I'm not tired. And we go, oh my goodness. So I pull that weed for about 2 or 3 days straight. And I say, wow, this guy, he came off, he said he's not tired. Like, how could that be? Like, there's no way. Like, he didn't play hard. Like, and all of his other teammates played hard. And I can't believe it. And then so, we'll quietly, that person either be pulled from the shift or we keep acknowledging that they said that they weren't tired until they go, oh, I totally get it. If I don't kill myself in the short time that I'm on the floor, that is my fault because I'm going right back in, and it's part of the system. It's part of the system style play. So, anyways, that's another weed where a player will say, "I'm not tired," and we go, "No, that's you. That's on you. That's on you."
I believe. Okay, this is my wife is she's gonna watch this and think, "Oh no, he's starting," because I tried at the high school level. We tried to put this in a few years ago, and it's there's magic to it. And when you see the magic, it's hard to go back. And we had some players, football players come into the team. We had a culture. We had some players come in. We had some good players start to resent it. And I had a talk with my athletic director, and it was a very nice talk, but basically I had to go back to having more of what a normal person can go to the gym and see, okay, there's defense being played, even though I knew how hard we're working defensively. The goal's just different. But one thing I saw that was magical about playing that way, and take away the fear of if I miss a shot or make a mistake, I'm coming out. Take that away. Take away the fear of if I come out, I'll never get back in. And in there lies the freest you can play in the most purest form of basketball that's out there. I agree. You gotta. I used to just tell my athletic director, like, they just can't see it. They can't see it. It's hard to grasp.
That is really true. And I will say, let me make a couple comments on that. I had a kid he's a doctor now, and he is brilliant, and he was a great player. He's really athletic. But he was, I would call him a bundle of nerves. Like, he just was so nervous about making mistakes and, was this a good shot or bad shot? So literally his junior year was when we went to the system. And he had said, I don't think I'm going to like this because it's, it seems chaotic. And he was always all nervous and trying. So I said, Michael, you just need to go with it. And he played with such freedom and realized that I was not going to get on him for a mistake, and that, he would go right back in the game as soon as he was taken out. He was a very good player. And his game just exploded. I mean, he was just so good. And so the thing about it is it bubbles. He was never a selfish player, but it bubbles up to the surface, those that are selfish, really quick. And ultimately, the guys that say, I don't want to play the system, they're selfish.
It's a hard issue, no doubt.
The hard issue, right?
Yep.
And like, so if they say, I just can't do it, I need to be highlighted more, I need to be playing more, I need to be in more pick and roll or whatever situation they want to be in, ultimately what you're saying is, I just don't want to give to the team everything. Like, so I say, look, guys, I'm not asking for much, only every last drop of your blood. That's all I want.
Just everything.
Everything. And so, but if they can't do that, then this style of play forces that to surface. And unfortunately, I think in today's culture, and I mean, I don't want to get into this, but I think it's not even the kid. It's sometimes the parent. The parent's like, nah, my kid needs this, my kid needs that. We have these expectations, we have these goals. And if my kid's not highlighted, we don't want to be a part of it. And the kid would say, I love it. Like, I am totally comfortable with it, but it's my parents, my dad, or my mom. It's just somebody's putting the pressure on me. So it's a culture.
We're averaging, we're 6-2. We're averaging 94 a game without a shot clock. And if you saw, we're a small, like I said, small private school. So it's not like just crazy athletes running around. 15 dudes are playing. The bench is the livest I've ever seen it. More spirit than ever before.
Oh my goodness!
We scored 113 and won 113 to like 104 is the most fun game I've ever been a part of.
Yes,
but I got that response from, this isn't basketball and it won't translate to the next level.
Right.
And so, yeah, it is. There's a lot of the gold and the magic again behind the system. It's just hard to grasp. Do you find, so you get to recruit guys that you feel like maybe when you meet with them, they would be on board with this?
Yeah, that's true. And of course I try to explain, it's hard to completely explain. And then players get here and 9 out of 10, or I would say 9.9 out of 10 would say, I absolutely love this. Like I went and visited Pete Carroll, the Seahawks coach, and I said, I heard you played music in practice. And he goes, yeah. And he makes everything competitive, and there's a lot of enthusiasm in his practice. You can kind of see that on the sidelines, the way he coaches. But we play music, practice is over, it's 2 hours, and the new kids will say, we're done? And I go, we're done. And they go, wow, that was like, this is the most fun I've ever had at practice. It didn't really stop. We kept moving. You had music playing part of the time. We got after it. We played hard. So, but what you're talking about is, I don't know what to tell. Like, I talked to Josh Pastor a lot at Georgia Tech. He really likes the system, and he really is always thinking about, speeding up the game and maybe doing this. And he goes, do you think I could do it? And I said, I wouldn't do it, Josh, not at Georgia Tech. I mean, you got all those guards at Duke and UNC, they're very good. But the issue is, he's under contract. There's expectations. There's a lot of money involved. At the high school, like you said, there's just different expectations. And I'm literally at a spot where I'm a little bit removed from parents because I get kids from all over. And I'm not in this media pressurized, high profile, lucrative division. If I was in Division One, obviously that would be. Now, my former athletic director says, George, just at the end of your career, please go to like the worst team in America, and they haven't won 2 games a year for the last 10 years, and just take the system and just say you have nothing to lose, give it a shot. And so we always think, well, that would be fun.
if
But
you do that,
yeah.
call me
Okay.
and I'll see what Janet with my wife thinks.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
would be
Yeah.
something incredible.
That'd be super fun. So, but you do have to have, it's the culture.
Yeah.
You go to these high school games, scores like 32-31 in the fourth quarter. Yeah, it's so bad. And both teams are playing zone. The kids aren't tired. The kids come, they haven't even sweated. They can't even go get pizza after the game because they haven't expended themselves. And it is a tragedy because the whole reason the coaches played like that was to control the game and to win the game. And that was the highest value.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate. Young people have energy. Let's release it. Let's don't stifle it. So anyway.
So I gotta ask, because you almost said it right there. I watched this a special about your program and some of the signs that you have in your locker room.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
there was one, talk about devalue winning, that sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does. It says play with freedom, devalue winning. And what we mean is we so we played Illinois State this year. Bob Costas, his wife is an Illinois State graduate. And he saw the score of the game and we got killed. But he praised us because we played our style and we ran with Illinois State. We scored 108 points in their arena. And that's probably a record, especially a Division III against Division I.
Yeah.
But the idea of, playing like this and playing differently is so countercultural. The whole culture, and part of it's the Western world, part of it's the Puritan work ethic. I don't know. You have to go really way back to see how we put so much emphasis on winning. I mean, Matt, honestly, like if you say to me, such and such a coach cheated to win, I go, well, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't he? I mean, it's almost more important. It was almost more important for Lance Armstrong to win 7 Tour de France's than, he raised $5 million or $50 million. I don't know how much for cancer research. But then it came out that he cheated. So we go, oh, boo. But I go, no, you kind of forced him to do that.
Yeah.
Or the whole culture forced him to do it. So this all-consuming desire to win has skewed athletics so much. We've lost the sportsmanship piece. We've lost the gentlemanship. We say that cheating is like gamesmanship, and it's not. That's such a bad thing. So, anyways, we're just going to go all in counterculture, and we're going to say de-emphasize the win. And it is hard. Like, I have to re-educate my kids from ESPN every night. Like they watch that. It's fun. We talk about it. It's fun for us to win, no doubt. But the proof is in losing, right? So we go down to the locker room and we go, this is something Frosty would say, hey, we lost, but we didn't lose. Everybody goes, what do you mean we lost, but we didn't lose? And you go, we got better as a team. We did these good things. Let's find what's praiseworthy about tonight's performance. Now, if your attitude was bad, okay, we're going to have a conversation. If your effort was bad, we're going to have a conversation. But other than those two things, there's a lot of other things you couldn't control. Maybe they were bigger, stronger, faster. Maybe we didn't play well tonight. Maybe the ball didn't bounce our way. But overall, there are praiseworthy things from tonight's performance. And we're going to leave this locker room feeling good about ourselves, especially if our attitude and effort was good. And so if you put de-emphasize the win on the board downstairs and then you don't win, then you got to come back in the locker room and go, hey, what was great about tonight's game? And if you can't do that, then you can't put the sign up on the wall.
Yep.
That makes sense?
It does. And I can see how that mentality helps with the freedom that you guys play with. But I think a misconception is that, okay, because we de-emphasize winning so freedom can flourish, or did I say it right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah. So because of that, well, then they just allow anything. Well,
Right.
no, I mean, it still comes back to, okay, do you have the proper habits that give us the best chance to win?
Right.
Effort, attitude,
That's
communication, all
it.
those pieces. And
Yeah.
if you,
Really.
yeah, but if those aren't in place, then okay, we have to address it. So I'm glad to hear it's not that you're saying it's not about this at all. What are all the good things? We never even go to that area of what coaching is, which is there's things
Wow.
we can improve.
Oh,
Yeah.
correct it. You
Yeah.
got discipline. And so, for example, there are only two reasons I will scold the team, and I will scold them, and I will get on them if their effort is bad, because they can control that, or if their attitude's bad. So we had a player talk back to a coach right before we were playing Murray State, which is Division One. Obviously, John Morant was at our game, and he talked back to the coach in the huddle, an assistant, and I heard it. So I did not do X's and O's or anything that whole half except address that poor attitude of talking back to a coach. I mean, we may have done a few things X's and O's, but we're going to get killed. We're playing Murray State. They're Division One, we're Division Three. But but it doesn't matter. You can still control your attitude. And so there are times when you do have to scold the kids, but it always centers around lack of attitude or lack of effort. And those are two things that, and like you said, communication, all that, we can always improve that. We can ask for that, control that, but not control it, ask for it. But attitude and effort, they all know, coaches know. But here's the thing, like when I was with Patino, he would come in and he would like give some crazy like challenge at the beginning of practice or before an individual instruction period. Like you got to get this many shots up, like a 500 or something. It was just like insane. Like there's no way. And so you would all kind of walk out onto the court, kind of like shaking your head, like I can't believe. But then you would do it, like he was a real can-do guy, and you would actually accomplish it. And then you'd walk back into the locker room, going, kind of smiling, shaking your head, going, "I can't. We did it! Like I can't believe it." And he believed in us that we could do that, and we actually could do it. So people may see him or other coaches as these hothead coaches yelling at players, but it's really asking them to do what they probably didn't even think they could do. And then if you actually accomplish it, he was just a real can-do guy. You kind of smile and shake your head like, wow, and so when people walk out and they see our practice or they see a game or they see a score, they kind of walk out of the gym kind of with this wry smile on their face, like, that was insane.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's great. Yeah, of course it was insane. Yeah.
It's like our Arsenal before his games, it gets them in. Everybody, we're all huddled up before, and 99% of the programs in the country are going to say the same thing. What we need to do to win. And his thing was, hey, let's put on a show. Let's put on a show. And yeah,
I'll tell you what. So, have you talked to Dave?
I actually had him. I did. I interviewed him, and it was incredible.
So so they're talking about the dad, the granddad, right?
Yep.
Okay. So he's a pioneer. Like he's like Westhead. Like these guys are like
they're geniuses in basketball. Yep.
That's right. And they're not like creative. Like they are pioneers. Like they're going where no one else is going. Like Arsenault sits on the other end of the bench. He's just completely different. So this is a clue. When I was first starting this, I called Dave, he says, "George, all access, whatever you need. And welcome to the dark side." I said, "Dave, I'm not going to call it the dark side. I'm going to call it the resistance. Like we're fighting the dark side."
That's right.
And he said, "Okay, that's cool." So he goes, I go, "Dave, you're close to me. I'm coming up to watch your game. We're going to finish practice early. I want to see you play this game." So he's playing up at Illinois College, and he sees me up several rows behind the bench. He says, come down. So I go down on the floor. It's like 2-3 minutes before the game. He said, "Hey, man, you should have been at the game Saturday." He goes, we were up 28 in the second half, and we lost in spectacular fashion. He goes, can you imagine being on the other team? He goes, that had to be the highlight of the career for those other kids. And I thought, okay, I get it. This guy is certifiably crazy. And if he can say something like that, that's what allows him to do this. And that's what I got to say in my mind. Am I certifiably crazy? Can I do this? And I thought, I can do it. Yeah. Because if he can say we lost in spectacular fashion up 28, then his perspective is completely different from everybody else's.
Yeah.
And he's not going to change whether we win or lose. And I asked Gary Smith, I said, Gary, when's enough? Like, are we up 20 with 10 minutes to go? And he just looked at me and said, what? And I said, I mean, like, when do I pull off the system? He goes, you don't pull it off. You get 100 shots a game or whatever your goals are, 50 threes, force, 32 turnovers, grab 35% of the offensive rebounds, shoot the ball 25 more times than the opponent. And that's when enough is enough, no matter what the score is. So early on, we were playing a team that wasn't as good. And I said, you think you guys can score 150 tonight? They're like, yeah, coach. And then I said, one of the seniors said, let's hold the opponent to under 100. I said, no. I said, you can score 150 and hold them to under 100. I said, all you got to do is hold them to under 149 or, to 149. And they were like, oh, okay. So, I mean, when you say stuff like that, it's kind of a shake your head smile. Like, I can't believe we're talking about like this, but then you go out and do it. And like you said, it's magical. It's fun. It's different. So.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.